All right, guys, so let's talk wallpaper. I'm working on the wallpaper for my study right now. I'll talk about sort of my choice of wallpaper and a little bit how I actually prep the wall and how I do the wallpaper itself. So I want to say something about wallpaper, which actually just extends to building materials in general. There's a company called Bradbury and Bradbury. They made beautiful Victorian reproduction wallpaper. It was made by hand in Benicia, California. It was all screen printed. More in Victorian times, wallpapers were more like block printed. The screen printing hadn't been around yet, but they started screen printing wallpapers in the 30s and 40s. And they had been making it like that by hand for a long time. And this is this is an example of their older wallpaper. This would be a frieze. And you can see it's just really nice. I mean, the colors are so rich. The gold is actually shimmery. It looks screen printed. If you look at the design up close, it's not quite, perfect. Some of these are a little bit off, and it's just a beautiful wallpaper. And I ordered wallpaper from them, and I saw that it shipped from Sweden, which didn't make sense to me. It turns out that as of a few months ago, they completely got rid of their solvent-based screen printing process, and they have this digitally printed wallpapers that ship from Sweden now, so they don't even make it in America anymore. Very depressing. It's just a general trend that's happening in building right now where it's just harder and harder to get quality materials. And it's almost like something died when they stopped screen printing because almost no one's doing it anymore, and it's just the thing that's happening. Things are getting cheaper and cheaper and more throwaway, and it's pretty depressing. But I have the wallpaper, and I'm just gonna use it now. I think eventually I'm actually gonna screen print my own wallpaper, but I'll talk about what I have now. Okay. So this is called a frieze. A lot of the times in old Victorian homes, you'd see that at the top of the wall, they'd have a certain wallpaper pattern, and then below that, they'd have another wallpaper pattern. So this is the thing that would go towards the ceiling. It's called a frieze. This one in particular is from Bradbury. It's called Iris Frieze in Autumn. The iris pattern is popular in Victorian design. A lot of Victorian designers would incorporate irises because they like the curvature of the flowers and that sort of thing. So this is a pattern that's been made by Bradbury, but it mimics the sort of thing you'd find in a Victorian home. So this will be at the top of the wall. Then below that, we have this pattern. This will actually be below it. I have it out of order on the table here. This table is speaking of the table, this is an 1880s Eastlake table. It's 14 feet long. I'll talk about that later in another episode. So what's going to happen is this will be on the top of the wall. Then there's going to be a picture rail trim, wood trim, and then below that is going to be the fill. And this fill is called dado wreath. It's just another pattern from Bradbury. If these were screen printed, they would have been so much better. So if anyone watching this and you happen to work for Bradbury and you are part of the decision process, you guys made a big decision, and you're going to lose a lot of customers for that choice to stop screen printing, because that's what set them apart. So let's go into the study and see. It's a little bit of a mess right now just because I have everything moved around. What I'm doing in here is I'm getting the walls prepped for the wallpaper. What I use, and I got this from the guy who was a really experienced wallpaper who did a mural. He showed me a lot of the ropes. This is what he used. It's RX35 Pro 999. It's by Roman. It's a drywall sealer. If you apply paste to your drywall or to your wallpaper and stick it on there and you ever want to take it back off, if your drywall isn't sealed or it's not painted, it's just dry, like I just would stick it on without sealing it, it won't. It'll rip off, it'll be a big mess. So this is a drywall sealer. I've put it on, it dries clear, and it's a little bit tacky feeling. I've done this wall, I haven't done the other way up. Once that goes on, let it dry for a little while. And then I use this thing here, which I'm sure there's many different ones you can use, but this is what I'm using, Roman Pro 880. It's just a wallpaper adhesive. Depending on the wallpaper, it will either, the manufacturer will say you want to roll onto the wall, or sometimes they'll roll onto the paper. And depending on what kind of paper you're using, some manufacturers will specify what kind of paste you should use. So that's what I'll be doing. I'll be working on that today. Stone house related things like that you would never have to deal with in a normal house is I just put these up this morning. So the mortar is still a little bit wet, but you know that stone is all over the place, right? So I didn't want to scribe the wallpaper against the stone. That would just look, I think, pretty tacky. So I put this piece of trim in here, and then the wallpaper just goes straight up to it. It's flush and it's level, and I can just go. So that's one of the quirks, I guess, of having some of these walls be stone. Did it on the same piece of trim on this wall as well. So I'm gonna wallpaper it, but as you can see, my choice is like a dark brown. We'll have the fill, the freeze. The top is called India Yellow. Alright guys, so it's a beautiful fall day out here. I've got my iced tea. I've got jazz playing. I'm painting the porch. Probably not a lot of you guys have painted a house with a brush this big. As you can see, I'm doing a lot of little detail work, and it takes a little brush like this. So I'll talk about the colors I've done and what our plans are. So as you can see, the ceiling here is haint blue. That's a historical, a lot of old people used to do haint blue. Some people do it because they don't want birds building nests in their porch and stuff like that, swallows, that sort of thing. Or the other reason why is because they say haint blue because they used to think that, spirits didn't want to cross water or something like that, and it would protect your spirits from entering your house. So I opted for the second reason to do haint blue. I don't want spirits coming into my house, bad spirits anyway. So the ceiling is haint blue. And, I said in previous videos that we were going to do a dark color on the porch because the interior of our house is very dark. But I primed our whole porch, and we kind of sat back and we were like, man, it's actually pretty nice to have it be a lighter color. So we actually chose to do light. And I think it's turning out pretty cool. So we chose two colors here. This cream color is an ivory. It's almost like a really pale yellow. It's called Heppel White. It's a historical color. And then all the accents in here is a gold color, and that's called Stuart Gold, which is also a historical color. So I primed it, did a coat, all the cream, all the ivory, all the gold, and I have to come back and do everything a second time. So everything needs to be painted once and then painted again. And it's a little time consuming just for getting in these big corbels, all these little tight spaces with this little brush. So I just have the jazz going and I'm just rolling. So I'm going to do the inside first, clean it up. There's still places that need to be cleaned up and touched ups and everything. And then I'll move to the outside. And eventually our plans are for this porch to have a crown molding up here. We'll do a crown around the whole porch. And then in the future, I'm going to have a polished brass system that is all along the interior of this porch. That's a misting system because it gets pretty hot in the summer here. And we want to have misters in the summer. And we'll have ferns and those sorts of things. And eventually I'll be boxing out the bottom of these columns and doing some paneling with some railing. So that's all coming in the future, but for now we're just getting it painted and trying to beat the weather. It's turning fall pretty quick here, so I've got to get the front done before it starts raining. But anyway, that's what we're doing right now, so I'll keep painting. So if you guys, have been following us, these are all corbels that I made. These are all Um, I was inspired by some pictures online, and I made some router jigs, and so all these corbels are handmade. They're handmade from the on the interior of our house. We have a timber framing for the vaulted ceiling, and we have these big Douglas fir beams, and I used biscuits and glued them all together and made these big blocks, and then from those blocks I cut all these corbels. So all these are custom made by me. And one more thing about this paint blue ceiling. I know it's working because after I painted it, we were having all these butterflies. You know, we get a lot of butterflies out here. And the butterflies come through, and they come through the porch, and they kind of go. But now I know it's working because they come in, and they get all stuck up in here. They don't know where they think, and then they finally get out. That tells me that the animals are thinking this is the sky, which was the idea. So that's another indication that it's working how it's supposed to.
Hey everyone, it's Naomi. I just wanted to pop in here and say thank you for following. I know it's been a long time since we posted. We've just been busy with finishing our home and having our baby last year. So that's just taken up all my time. I haven't been able to edit. But we have been working on our stone house building book. It's a digital book, and you can find it in the link in the description that I'll put in there. And it goes over all of our building strategies in building this house. You know, it goes over foundation, plumbing, electrical, roofing, all within the context of working with solid stone walls. We also go over how we ordered our stones, how we stack them, some tips that we learned along the way, electrical fixtures, just anything that really had to pertain especially to a stone home. We put it all in there, and go check out the link. We are so happy to get that out to you all, and hopefully that inspires you and helps you plan for your own stone house.